What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gordon and today we are talking about neck knives. I bought some of the top selling knives on Amazon and we're gonna test them out and see what works and what, quite frankly, is useless. So the knives that I got are the SOG Instinct Mini, the Mora Eldris. We're also looking at the Boker Magnum. And I just noticed that my logo on my hat is not facing the front of my head. Does anyone really care? The CRKT Minimalist. And then lastly, this one is pretty big to be classified as a neck knife, but it is called a neck knife, so here we are. So some of this testing is gonna occur out here in the wilderness, and some of it's gonna occur back at the studio. So these knives, some of them are not super practical, I think. So I've developed a rating system that I think you'll be able to appreciate. And it's a little bit funny. So towards the end of the video, I'm gonna rate each knife with this rating system. Hopefully it will be helpful to you. Okay, so let's talk briefly about this very scientific and somewhat subjective rating system that I've come up with for testing these knives today. We're gonna rate these knives on 5 categories. The Dundee rating, whether it's a knife or not a knife, that is just how impressive or worthy the knife is or appears to be. And then we have the Kill Bill rating, which is, of course, the sharpness of the knife. And then we're gonna give each knife a Mr. T rating, and that's how comfortable the knife is, how wearable the knife is around your neck. Would Mr. T approve of that knife? And we're also going to give each knife a Danny Trejo rating. That is how rugged the knife is. And the last rating is the Rambo rating, whether or not Rambo himself would use this knife in a survival situation. The reason I came up with this system is because these knives are so different from each other. They have a similar function, that is that they hang around your neck, but beyond that they're vastly different. So it's kind of hard to compare them. They're not really apples to apples. All right, so the first knife is the SOG Instinct Mini. And this knife is made from 5CR15 MOV steel, stainless steel. And if those are just numbers to you and don't mean anything, it's an okay steel. It's sort of a low grade steel that knife makers use. It is stainless, so you have good corrosion resistance, but the edge quality is not the best. So this knife weighs 1.6 ounces. It has a G10 handle. This knife is a full tang knife, meaning that the blade steel runs all the way through the handle. This makes it more durable. The sheath has this clip on it that can be removed. Since this is a neck knife video, let's get rid of this trash right away. There you go. So with it sheathed, it is very thin. So what's my take on this knife? When I was using it out in the field, I noticed that the finger holes and everything are just not really appropriate for my size hands. It's a small knife, and I knew that, but the jemping, which is the grooves on the backside of the knife here, they're pretty sharp. So when I was digging in and carving with it, it tore up my thumb pretty quick. I think very concealable, and if you have maybe a little bit smaller hands, this might be great for you. This currently retails for $33.50 on Amazon. I think it might be just a hair overpriced in my opinion, but you're paying for that SOG name. I'm gonna give the SOG 3 on the Dundee scale. This only is going to get 1 Kill Bill for sharpness because the edge quality on this is quite frankly atrocious right out of the box. Perhaps I could work on it a bit more and get it to hold an edge better, but something tells me it just won't. As far as Mr. T goes, I think he would approve. This is a very lightweight, low profile knife. Good chain, good image, good aesthetic. I think he might actually wear this. This gets 2 Danny Trejos. For ruggedness, I don't think it's very rugged. I think that these handles are gonna pop off really quickly, my opinion. So I only give this a Rambo rating of 1. I would not see Rambo with this knife out in the woods on his missions. Next up on the list is the Boker Magnum Mini Little Friend Micro. Super long name for a very tiny knife. I laughed when I opened this up, but you know what? This is really a cool knife. Yes, it's tiny. Yes, it doesn't quite fit in my hands, but I've used this thing a lot since I've had it, and it is pretty phenomenal. So this knife has a 1 3/8 inch long blade. It's interesting that even though it's short, it has jemping not only on the back side where you'd normally find it, but it has it on the front side of the handle too, so you can actually sort of get a purchase with your fingers and it grips. So even though there's no prayer of holding it with the full grip of your hand, it's still pretty sturdy. Made from 7CR17 MOV steel. which is okay. It's, again, sort of a lower quality steel. It is a more of a budget knife. This weighs 1.3 ounces, and this knife currently retails for about 23 bucks on Amazon. I'm gonna give this only 2 on the Dundee scale because, well, he would say that's not a knife. But it gets 4 on the Kill Bill scale because it's rather sharp, takes an edge well, holds an edge well. 4 on the Mr. T scale because it is very comfortable to wear. 3 Danny Trejo's, not super rugged, but fairly rugged. I'm gonna give this a 2 on the Rambo survival scale because I don't think that this would fit in Rambo's hand. Next up is a beast of a neck knife. That is the Effigy Grow. Got some pretty aggressive, deep jumping on the back, which makes it nice to hold. It's got a cool texture to it. It really kind of fits well in the hand. You can feel very stable with it. It's got this nice scallop here that you can put your fingers into. Overall, extremely comfortable to hold this knife. The only downside to this knife is its weight. It is heavy. This features a G10 handle, Kydex sheath. This knife retails for about $26 on Amazon. The blade is made of D2 steel, which is quite hard. It is harder than your stainless steels. And before you get all fired up and tell me that this is a stainless steel blade, it is technically not a stainless steel blade because the chromium level in it is not high enough to be classified as a stainless steel, but it is close. It is very corrosion resistant steel. It's very hard. This knife weighs 8 ounces. Oh man, yeah, this is a heavy knife. My opinion of this knife is that it is very capable. It is great for campcraft. The only thing I would change about this knife is its edge profile is a bit steeper than I like. I found it to kind of skip off when I was carving with it, so I would probably hone this edge down to a lower profile to suit my needs better. So it's got this fancy belt clip on it that you can unlock and you know, clip it onto your belt or a strap on a backpack or something like that. Again, you can take it apart with the Allen key, which I am obliged to do at this point in time to make it a proper neck knife. So there you go, voila. And you're left with a very low profile design. Nice, snag-free, excellent knife. The Effigy Grow gets 5 on the Dundee scale because it is impressive and worthy. It gets only 3 on the Kill Bill scale. It's not very sharp. I'm only gonna give this 3 Mr. T's for wearability because although it is fairly thin, it is incredibly heavy. So if you're stout, you could probably carry this around your neck all day. I'm gonna give this 3 Danny Trejo's and 2 Rambos because although it is an impressive knife, I don't think he would carry this as a survival knife. Because out of the box, I would only give this 2 Rambos. If I worked on the blade a lot, maybe the Rambo rating would go up, but for now, I'm gonna keep it at 2. Next up is the CRKT Minimalist, and this is a really interesting knife. Designed by Alan Foltz. I say that like I know Alan. I don't. I just read it somewhere. He's apparently a good knife designer. This knife comes in a ton of different shape options. I chose the Bowie shape option. This is the Bowie knife. It has a resin fiber handle, which is nice and durable. It feels good. It's got texture to it. It doesn't feel like it'll slip out of your hands. It has great finger holds, a little bit of nice jumping on the back, but not too sharp. This has a high carbon steel 5CR15 MOV blade, and it weighs 0.7 ounces, so it's very lightweight. So my opinion on this knife is that it is awesome, aside from one thing. It is advertised as having this extended grip feature of this fob. You don't want to hold a knife by a fob like that. I mean, I just don't get it. You're never going to hold this and pull it out of its sheath because it'll flop around and become a very dangerous implement. I'm gonna do what I do with all useless things. I'm going to cut it off. There we go, much better. I took it off, and now it is a proper knife, in my opinion. This knife would be great for processing game, skinning animals out. Excellent knife. And the CRKT Minimalist gets a 4 on the Dundee scale. 3 Kill Bills, 3 Mr. T's, 3 Danny Trejo's, and 2 Rambos because, well, it has great merit for campcraft and for maybe skinning animals. I don't think Rambo would be proud to own it and hold it. That's my opinion. And last but certainly not least is the Mora Knife Eldris. And this knife just intrigued me so much. I've been seeing it posted around a lot lately. Mora Knife as a company has been around since 1891, producing Swedish Scandinavian style blades. And this little knife is really strange looking.
but I have found it to be very capable. It has a 2.2-inch blade, and it has a very unique grind on it. Part of the blade is ground with a much flatter profile, and the part of the blade here that's closest to the handle has a little bit steeper of an angle on it. So it's a little bit more durable where you're putting the most force into the blade. And then where it flattens out, you have a little bit more finesse and feathering ability and skinning ability with the portion of the blade that doesn't receive as much force. The back side of this blade is very sharp. The spine, there is no jumping, but instead it is ground square to use with a fire steel, which is super cool. This came with a fire steel, and it works phenomenally well. So with the fire steel, this knife sells for about $40 on Amazon, and without the fire steel lanyard kit and all that stuff, it retails for about $27. This weighs 2.8 ounces all in, so very lightweight, and it is a bit chunky. I would say this is a chunky knife. It has this extra like keeper that you can slide onto it. I don't know whether or not that's super needed or useful because it sticks in its sheath very well. But if you're finding yourself a little paranoid, you know, go ahead and clip that on. My opinion of this knife is that it surprised me greatly. I am amazed at how well this performed in the field. It takes and holds its edge very well. It is Swedish stainless, which is technically a 12 CR27 stainless, and I am not a metals expert, but its Rockwell hardness rating is higher than all the other knives on this table, which means that it is not as tough, but it is way sharper. So this could chip or break off a lot easier. When you're sharpening it, you might notice that it has little micro nicks along the blade. If you've been using it a lot, you might have to hone those out. I certainly see a couple here. Based on experience, I would rather have a little bit harder knife steel than a tougher knife steel. I want it to hold its edge and do work for longer, and since I know how to handle a knife, I am less likely to break it doing something stupid, so the toughness doesn't as much matter to me. And I believe that because it is harder, it has more carbon in it and therefore is less corrosion resistant. Yeah, you should be mindful of keeping a little bit of oil on this when you're not using it. Otherwise you're gonna get that surface rust. I'm giving the Mora knife a 1 on the Dundee rating, 5 Kill Bills, 2 Mr. T's, 5 Trejos, 5 Rambos. So that puts us at a total of excellent knife. Highly would recommend this. So what's the point of neck knives? Well, I think one of the biggest things is that they're hard to lose. They're always right here available. If they're on your belt, they could get popped off. If they're in a pocket, they could get lost. It's hard to lose a neck knife when it's around your neck. Another plus is that a neck knife is easily accessible, and that could be for just common tasks or even for self-defense. Now, I don't really like the idea of having a knife around my neck with my vital organs right here, especially when putting it away. I also don't like the fact that there's something around me that could be used to choke me. So I've never really liked the idea, but I see the logic in it because if you get scared, the first reaction you usually have is to go like this, and that puts your hands close to your knife so you could take it out easier, faster.
Well, anyway, this is my favorite knife of all of them. It was very surprising to me that this one came in first, but I will be using the Mora Knife Eldris for a long time to come. Thanks for sticking around and watching. If you liked this video, found value in it, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this from me. Hit the bell notification, it'll alert you every time I publish a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.